Well, hi everyone, this is Wilson, and today I'm going to play the Dungeon of D. Looked like there was a few requests to give it a video try online at Board Game Geek, so it's a game that I've recently downloaded. It's a print and play game by Jack Darwood. I guess that's how you'd say it, Darwood, or it's a W, so Darwood, I guess. Anyway, Jack, fantastic game. I have sleeved all my cards. You can see the ones that I didn't sleeve. They're just white, and you know, as such, they I don't know. They're just gonna take a little bit more damage this way. Now the glare here is a bit of an issue. I don't know what's going on, but it seems that sometimes if I let my hand come into focus, that the glare kind of goes away. I'm hoping for that down here as well. I can't seem to combat it, so we'll have to see how that works. A few different, we're set up ready to go. Just a few different things to tell you here. Here's my dungeon level. Here's the card that you use for your dungeon level, and I'm in dungeon level 1, so you can see that you've got a frost, a beast, an undead, and a greenskin. And for the first level, frost, you use an ice slime, then it's a giant bat, then it's a skeleton, and then it's an orc. And then as you move along, the enemies change. So I'm just going to go right to it. I guess some of you know what you're doing and so forth. I've got my dungeon deck ready to go over here. I've got my power cards ready to go here. I have my character cards ready to go here. In fact, I don't even know what my character is yet. I have my fruit card here. So you start with 2 fruit, which are pretty important. And then I've got my extra cards over here. Arrows, poisoned, upgrades, pretty much, I guess that's pretty much it. So I'll just pull those out as I need them. And I do have my gold cards here. You might be familiar with these. You can just sort of, you just manipulate these to indicate how much gold you have, but I usually don't do it. This game is great because you don't need anything but the cards to play. Although the instructions do say you need a player marker, so here's my player marker, just to tell me which dungeon, part of the dungeon I'm in. And then I just use some 6-sided dice instead of the gold cards. So you wouldn't have to. So you could bring this to a restaurant or a library or the cottage, and you wouldn't need dice. But I use dice just to indicate the number of gold that I have instead. So I'll put them, I don't know, somewhere. Yeah, the only problem I foresee here is the glare. But you'll see as I move my hands closer to these cards, the camera seems to focus better. It's just an iPad, so it's not necessarily fantastic. But you can see here the dungeon a little more clearly when I bring my hands over. Alright, so let's begin. This is how it works. We need a character, so we're going to take the top card. And we have the Scholar. I like the Scholar. I've had him a couple times. You can discard a purple, which is an intelligence, I think, and you can discard an intelligence card. So once you do that, you can draw a power card, and then you can choose to either put it on top or the bottom of the power deck. So that can be helpful. And I can only use this skill, though, at the beginning of a turn. So I have to maybe plan out my turn a little bit. Anyway, there's the Scholar. I'll put the Scholar there. And let's have a look at, oh, I need 9 cards for my hand. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are my abilities as well as my life, that kind of a thing. So, oh, I've got some 5s there in intelligence, agility, strength, movement. That's a really good hand. Really good hand. Okay, so the game plays like this. You go to your dungeon deck, where what you've done is I've set it up already. Within the top 9 cards is the Mystic Portal, and the idea to move on in levels is to go through the Mystic Portal. Now, in my first games that I played, not really understanding strategies and stuff, I would just be all excited to get to the Mystic Portal, and I just kept going through. I think, actually, one of those games I ended up on the 9th level. Is it 9 or 8? 8. I ended up on the 8th level, which is the final level, and I was so thrilled. But as soon as I got into a real fight, I was completely unprepared and dead because I hadn't upped my skills or my abilities or anything. So I think some of the strategy, most certainly, is to linger on some of the levels and power up. I really doubt we're going to play a whole game here unless I die quickly. But let's see how it goes. So let's turn over the first card of the dungeon, It's the Mystic Portal. Okay, that's not a bad thing. So we play the Mystic Portal, and then I'll put my character marker on there. Now there's no actions that I have to take on the Mystic Portal, and additionally there's no wandering monster check. Usually you would check, but not on the first room, as it were, of the first room of the level. So this is level 1, room 1, so you don't check for a monster. So I sort of get the Mystic Portal for free. So that's kind of cool. Alright, now I'm going to choose to move. I'm going to use a movement card of 1. And so what I do is I place it there. And what that means is that because it's an actual movement card, I actually don't lose any of my life. So I draw back up, put that in my hand, and then I move. And what that means is I draw another dungeon card. This one is a Carnivorous plant, and there's nothing there that I need to do either. However, it's a decently dangerous room. So what you do is you move from here to here, and I can test this Carnivorous plant because it says a sleeping giant Carnivorous plant has many things in its branches. You have one try before the plant becomes frenzied. So what that means is that there's a whole bunch of things in its branches, people that this carnivorous plant has previously attacked and killed. So, okay, I can try to sneak up there, I can go for different levels of searches, we'll see how it goes, and you have to use your agility to do that, and then you do a check. So, before I do that, the order of my play is this way. If there's any actions that I have to take, I always do them first. It's just the way I play. Second, I check for a wandering monster. And then third, I give myself the option of doing anything that the room may give as a choice. In this case, there's no action that I have to take immediately. Now, I know some people do the monster check first because they think, I'm pretty sure that the logic around, the rules aren't clear on it. And I think the logic is that if you move from one room to the other, there could be a monster there, so you should check for that first. However, they are wandering monsters, so you could be at any point in your exploring the room or searching the room or climbing the carnivorous plant, as it were, and you could be, a monster could come walking along. So that's the way I tend to do it. So in the carnivorous plant room or encounter, there's nothing that I have to do, but I do have to search or do a check for a monster. When you do a check, you come back over to the power cards, and the carnivorous plant room has a 3, so I need a 4 or a 5 in order to not run into a monster. A 1, 2, or 3, and I will run into a monster. So I turned over a 1. You can you can ignore just about everything else on this card. That's what you're after. It's a 1. Okay, it doesn't matter that it's orange, doesn't matter that it's strength, it's a 1. So what that means is that there's a monster. So this is how it works. You take this goes into your discard pile. So I'm just going to say that's right here. Now what monster? You come back over here to your movement, and you'll notice that this has on it, see the picture of the monster? There's a number 4. Usually cheap cards like 1s and 2s have higher level monsters, okay? So in this case, you can see the number 4 right there. So that means that we are going to fight monster number 4, and I'll show you what that means. So this goes back. Here's your level. Here's monster 1. Here's monster 2. Here's monster 3, and here's monster 4. So we're fighting a greenskin. And we're fighting, according to the leveler, an orc. And an orc has a strength of 8. So I have to overcome his 8. The rules sort of suggest you pull it down a little bit, alright, to indicate that's the monster you're fighting. In my hand, I mean it's early in the game, but I've been blessed with some tremendous power here. In my hand, I actually have a 5 strength, which is as high as any of the cards go. I don't have any skill bonuses or anything, so the best I can do is hope for a 3 or better, and then that means I will have defeated the orc. So I will play my 5. Because it's a power card and because it's a fight, and it's a strength check, I actually get this card back into my hand. So once again, I don't lose any life. Well, at least not yet. So my 5, now I do the check for the power, and I flip it, and I got a 1. So 5, can you see that? 5 plus 1 is 6. That is not equal to or greater than 8. That means the orc has hit me. So now I discard these. I have to go back to my hand, and I need to discard a card. And I'm going to discard an Intelligence 1 card. But the orc is still coming after me. So he's already done 1 damage on me. I happen to have another 5 strength card. So we'll play that, which means this goes back into my hand. I don't lose that as a life. And now we do the check. Sorry for the glare. It's a 4. So 5 and 4 is 9. That's better than the 8. I discard these. And that means the orc has been defeated. Now you don't get rid of the card. It's not like you discard it. You just simply move it back up because I might move it. I might meet other orcs as it goes. So he doesn't have any special regenerate or poison or anything like that. So he's dead for now. And what that means is he also has 4 gold. So I'll take my 4-sided die, flip it to a 4, and I'll just put it, say, over here on the character deck. Kind of where I do things like that. Okay? So now I have the option of trying to search this tree. And I might, just to sort of show you guys how to do it. Because I do have a 5 agility. And in order to search the, not the tree rather, but the carnivorous plant. So I'm going to take my 5, and I'm going to try it. So actually I've already pretty much done this. Tell you what, let's make it a bit more of a test. I'm going to search the mid-high branch. Okay, there's options on the carnivorous plant card. So if you guys have this printed out, you'll be familiar with this card. And this option, if I search mid-high, says that if I'm successful, I would get 1 item and 1 plus gold. And the plus means the level. So that means I would get 1 item and 2 gold. So let's give this a go. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. I could actually search the high branch with this, but I won't. Okay, so it's a 5 plus agility difficulty check. So if I'm going to search the mid branch, the plus indicates the level. So 5 plus 1, level 1, is 6. So I have to beat a 6 with my 5 card, which I will, because you can't, the lowest card's a 1. So I'm automatically going to succeed here. So that's fine. I could push myself for the high branch and get an arrow and more gold. But I think arrows are kind of fun. I don't usually get them, but I think I want to show you how an item works. So I'm going to do that. Alright, so because I'm playing an agility card on an agility check, once again, I don't lose that hit point. And so this card, the top card from the power deck, comes into my hand. So it's a life that I did not lose. Now we do the actual check. So we flip the card, and it's a 3. So 5 and 3 is 8, and I beat the requirement of 6. These get discarded. What that means is that I've succeeded at searching the mid-high branch. I do not lose a hit point, but instead I gain 1 plus gold, which is 2, which puts me to 6, and I gain an item. So this is how items work. You go to the top card of your power deck, you flip it over, and on these cards, they've really maximized, Jack Darwood has really maximized the space available on here. There's a few different things around the perimeter, sort of framing in that center part of the card. The item I get, this is a potion down here at the bottom. This is a special item. Nope, this is a special item. This is an item right there. And that's what I will get. I get a dagger. So that's pretty cool. Sort of a ranged attack, I'm guessing. So it says discard right after you play your first effort card in a melee, and your first effort card gains you a +1. That's good. Okay. So what you do with this is you place this, here's my fruit, and then what you do is you kind of place it in such a way that that's what's, so you can see now I've got 2 fruit, and a dagger. So everything else on the card and behind the fruit is disregarded. What you're actually reading is this row here. Okay? So I'm going to just lay that back down. 2 fruit and a dagger. Good. Now, it says that after I have searched the carnivorous plant, I can't keep going back to it all the time. It says that I have to exhaust this room. So what that means is that we turn the card over, so that indicates to me that it's exhausted. Now, I can certainly come back into this room. I cannot search the carnivorous plant again, but there's a good chance, given that there's a 3 danger for this room, that I might run into a monster again. So, do I want to come back to this room? Well, it depends. It depends. And we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm interested in just simply leveling up and probably hitting the portal and heading on to level number 2. I've already got 6 gold. I need 8 to level up. So I'm looking to do that. Okay? Okay. Here we go. What am I doing? I'm moving. Okay, so to move, I have to spend a movement card or other. In fact, let's spend an other this time, just to give you a feeling for what that is. I'm going to use this card to move. You can use any card for any check, but it's when you use the appropriate card that you don't lose a life. If I choose this strength card to move, that indicates that I will lose a life. All right, but it's either that or use the only other movement I have in my hand, which is a number 5, and I want that 5 for potentially something else. And you can see from this card that if I do encounter a monster on my next move, it's going to be a number 3. You can see that right beside the white skull there with the picture, right? Okay, so let's discard, or excuse me, this doesn't get discarded. This goes into this pile here, so I will be familiar. Now I go to my dungeon deck. I draw a dungeon card, and I see that I have revealed a guardian monster. Notice the A on the guardian monster, the very first letter. That means that I have to do that action right away. Okay, and then the rest will or may follow depending upon the result. When you place the dungeon room, you can see that I started with the mystic portal. I moved from there to the carnivorous plant, probably just in a hallway somewhere. And now it's not, I can't just place this anywhere. Like I can't place this on the mystic portal. I have to place this in a way that advances where I am. So I'll place it here, and then we presume the movement goes from here to here. So now I am with the guardian monster. And the action that it's asking me to do says this. It's a locked door. So I must immediately move or try to open the door. And the door is a 6+ in intelligence, which means 6 and the plus is the level, so that's 1. So I would have to check and beat a 7 intelligence. Now I think I could do that. If not the first try, probably the second, because I have intelligence cards of 5 and 4. However, I am going to choose to move. Now this is interesting because actually maybe I won't, because if I get 2 gold, then I've got enough to power up. And if I level up a skill, and maybe I'll do that. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so let's change of plan. I'm going to take my 5 intelligence, which I have here, and I'm going to place it there. Then we have to do, because it's an intelligence check, I don't lose any life, so this comes back into my hand. So I don't lose any life. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 life left out of 9. And now we do the check. So 5 plus, it's a 4 agility, but again, I'm only interested in the number. It doesn't matter what else is on the card, and it's a 4. So a 5 and a 4 is 9, which beats the check of 7, which means I open the door. So these are discarded. The door is opened. The door opens and you get 2 plus gold. So that means 3 gold. So I'll take a second die. So now I've got 6 plus 3, not 36, but I've got 9 gold. Once the door is opened, when you leave this room, exhaust this room. So I'm going to move, obviously, and the room's going to get exhausted and there's nothing more to do. But I do have to do a check for a wandering monster. Now this is a fairly safe room. the guardian monster in this room only comes by from time to time. There's another notation on here, and it says that if A is greater than 5, then there's a monster guarding a treasure chest. But that doesn't apply to me right now because I'm not on level 5, okay? Sometimes the rooms have conditions around them, as though to say, you know, if there's 5 rooms or 6 rooms or something revealed on this level, can you fulfill this action, or can you attempt this check? This one says that if you happen to have Guardian Monster, if I've turned this card up on level 5, then I could make an attempt at defeating the monster and getting the treasure, which would have a special item. It would be pretty worthwhile to make an effort for that. So let's do a check. Nonetheless, I have to do a check. That's the only thing left for me to do. That means we come over to here, to our power deck, and we have to see, if we get a 1, then we're fighting a monster. And if we get anything else, we're okay. We got a 4, so there's no monster for us. That gets discarded. The room gets exhausted, and I'm going to move. In order to move, I need to spend a card. I'm going to use a strength card. So when I discard this card here, again, that's the monster I'll be fighting. It indicates a number 3, and because it's a strength card and not a movement card, I do not replace a hit point into my hand, which means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hit points left. That's okay. Certainly you get fewer and fewer as you progress and take chances, but we have chosen to move. I'm going to move into this space so that I'm close to the Mystic Portal, so that I can get there, level up with my gold, and then move on to the second level. Alright, so let's see what we've got. We go to our dungeon deck and flip it over. This is a large chest. You can see it's a very dangerous room. It's a number 4 down in the bottom corner with the red skull. So that means the chances of seeing a monster here are quite high. Unless I check with a 5, I'm going to see a monster. Okay? So, there is no immediate action for this room. In fact, here's a good example. It says, I can do this action at all only if there are at least 4 revealed rooms on this level. Now, there are 4 revealed rooms on this level, so I could attempt to open the chest, but it's not easy. I need to check with a 7 plus level, so I need to succeed in an 8, or else I get a dart right in the arm. So I don't want that. All right. So my player moves to here. I'm in the room with the large chest. Because it's not an action that I have to do, but more of an option, I'm going to move right on to the Wandering Monster check, which is a 4. Move over to the power deck, flip the top card, and it's a 1. A 1 does not defeat the number 4, so that means I will encounter a monster in the large chest room. This gets discarded. Which monster am I fighting? We come back to here. This was my movement card, and it indicates that we'll be fighting a number 3. Number 3, here's our dungeon level. Monster 1, Monster 2, Monster 3. It's an undead monster, and it's a skeleton. That's at the bottom of the card. That's how you set up. I didn't really run through setup. Sorry for the glare, folks. There we go. It's a skeleton. Now you notice the skeleton regenerates, so I need to be careful. We'll see what happens, but this will be good for the purposes of our video. So, here comes a skeleton. I need to defeat him with a 7 power or better. I have some power cards, but it's only a 3 and a 4, so there's not a lot of power there. I could try risk once with a 4. Okay, I'll give it a go. I'll risk once with a 4. Okay, so here's my 4. What that means is, now because it's a power card, this card comes into my hand. Okay? So I don't lose any hit points, any life for making this check. So I need to get a 3 or better on this card. And I got a 3. So that means the 4 plus the check of 3 is a 7, which means I defeat the skeleton. Now, one would think that the skeleton is dead. Of course, skeletons are dead, which is the whole point behind his little special skill, or her. They can regenerate. So the skeleton may be smashed to pieces or may not be. The skeleton gets a chance to regenerate, and this is how they do that. I need to make a guess. I pick a number between 1 and 5, and if I am correct when I flip over the power card and do a check, then that skeleton regenerates, and I have to fight it again. The one thing I haven't talked about is running away from monsters. Running away is an option. It's not something that I do, oh my goodness, I hardly ever do it, but it is an option. And I believe it's your intelligence or intellect, as it were, that helps you to run away. You do a check. I don't even think it's agility. I'll have to look into that. It's, again, I just don't do it very often. It's the same with arrows. I hear they're really, really good, but they're really hard to get, and I don't tend to use a lot of arrows. It would be good for the purposes of this video if I had some arrows, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm really almost done because this is a little bit of a, level 1 thing, and once I get to level 2, I'm going to wrap up here. Okay, so here's the regenerate check on the skeleton. I'm going to say, all right, the last card was a 3, so what are the odds of flipping a 3 again? I'm going to say 3, okay? That's my guess. Now, if I flip over this power card and it's a 3, that means the skeleton does regenerate, okay? Which is essentially a bad thing, obviously. But if this is a 1, a 2, a 4, or a 5, I smashed it up to dust and it does not regenerate. Okay, so 3 is my guess. It's a 5. So I smash the skeleton, it does not regenerate. This card goes into the discard pile, right there. The skeleton is defeated, so I slide him back up, or her. And the skeleton is worth 2 gold, so I bump up my 3 to 5. So I actually have 11 gold there, which is on level 1. That's pretty good. So here's what we're going to do. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 life left, which, as far as I'm concerned, is actually pretty good. I am going to I'm going to do something that I really never do. I'm going to move into the Mystic Portal room, and I'm going to upgrade. I'm going to press my luck here on something. Okay, so I'm going to use, I don't know, I'll use a number 2 agility card to make my move. All right, I do have a 5 movement, but again, I might need that for combat. So number 2 agility card goes here. All right, not discard pile, but here. Now, I'm not going to draw a new dungeon room. I'm actually going to move from the large chest into the Mystic Portal room, and so I do that. There are no actions there that I have to take. There's no compulsory actions, but I do need to check for a monster, a wandering monster. And that will check on a 1. It's a relatively safe room. Just because this was the first room doesn't mean there wouldn't be a monster there now. It's just that when it's the first room on your level, regardless of what the card might ask you to do, because you would still have to do automatic actions, you don't draw for a wandering monster. But since I've come back to the Mystic Portal, I do. So, if it's better than a 1, no monster. It's a 3. There we go. It's a 3. No monster. Discard. So, now I'm going to use some of my gold to power up. Here's what I'm going to do. I usually power up with strength, because my philosophy is that if I'm stronger and stronger and stronger, I can take on more beasts here, more, frost beings and undead and so forth, and I can get more gold and I can upgrade easier. But I've played this game probably 50 times, and there's so much more strategy than I have really employed here. There's a lot of replayability in this game. You'd be stunned for a deck of, I don't know what might be here, 90 cards, 80 cards. You'd be stunned how much replayability there is, because they just pack so much information onto each one of these cards. So depending upon how you turn the card and what level you're on, there's a million, well, not a million, there's probably a dozen or even more special items that I've never even seen, magic items and this kind of thing. There's skills that I have never learned from other characters. This is also a part of the game. There's players that I've never used. Probably about half of the 20, I think it's 20 characters in here, something like that. about half of them I've never even seen. And I don't go through them because I kind of want that element of newness. But you know what? 50 games later, this still feels like a new game, the Dungeon of D. This is a really good game. So, okay, where was I? Mystic Portal. I can upgrade. That's an option. So I'm going to do that. Okay? It costs me 8 to upgrade anything I want. So let's get rid of the 6 and 2 more, which leaves me with 3 gold. I'm going to upgrade my intellect. So you go over to your spare cards. You find your intelligence here. Here's the upgrade. Now what you do is you place this underneath your character card or your hero card in such a way that this number 1, this +1, is showing because I've upgraded to that degree. So it's going to look like this. You take the scholar and you kind of put them like that. Right? You see how that's sort of on the same plane? There you go. So now every time I do an intelligence check, I get +1. So that's done. I've already checked for the wandering monster, so we're good. Here's what I'm going to do. My plan is I'm going to move back in here to the large chest room. I'm going to try to open successfully the large chest. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to try it, and we'll see what happens. Now, here's something interesting. If I have some failures, or if I run into some tough beasts or something, and I don't run, or even if I do run, because that costs life too, I've got 5 cards left. And you'd be surprised how quickly these can go. So you need to be careful at this point, because you might find yourself down to 1 all of a sudden, and if you're sitting in a room with 1 card, you're already dead. You are the walking dead, because you can't move anywhere. As soon as you move somewhere, you're dead. Okay, unless it's a movement card, but you know, time will be running out. Okay, so here's what we do. We're going to make a move. I'm going to use. Well, I'll use the movement card. Yeah, I'll use the movement card now of 5 so that I don't lose any life. So I play the movement card, which means I don't lose any life. This comes into my hand. Oh, look at that. I got the same card. That's pretty good. So here's my move. I'm back in the large chest room. I remembered where to find it, so I've decided to come back and check out the large chest again. It's a fairly dangerous area, all right? So I have to do a check for 4. So here we go. I get a 4. That's not enough. I have to beat that 4. So what that means is there is a monster at the chest. So this is discarded. What monster? You come back here to your movement. Now notice it's in terms of power, it's got a high number of 5. It's the highest you can get. So what that usually means is that you're fighting the lowest monster, and in this case that's true. You can see with the little white skull there that I'm fighting monster number 1. So we come over here. Here's my level 1, and here's the card number 1, and it is a frost being, and it is an ice elemental, which can also regenerate, so we'll have to be careful. No, that doesn't seem right. I have that set up wrong. He looked a little powerful there. It's an ice slime. It's an ice slime. There we go. Yeah, that's quite different. The ice elemental was way, way overpowering me there. Okay, so the ice slime, I need to defeat him with a 5. Now, the hope is that I will defeat him and that I will also succeed in picking the lock for the large chest. So let's see what we can do here. Let's use, in order to defeat him, I will use my strength of 3. So this goes here, and because I'm playing an orange power card in a fight, I don't lose that life. So I draw this into my hand, and I need to beat a 5. So here's the check. It's a 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 beats 5. I have defeated the ice slime. And it was the ice elemental that could regenerate, not the slime, so the slime is defeated. I do get a gold for defeating the slime, so I go from 3 to 4 gold pieces. And now I'm free to try opening the chest, which I can only do if there's 4 rooms on this level to be revealed, and there are. This is saying that I can make the attempt. It's going to be a 7 plus 1, so it's quite hard. So 7 plus 1 is 8, so I have to defeat 8. Here's my plan. I'm going to use, unfortunately, I'm not going to use intelligence because they aren't quite high enough. I'm going to use my number 5 from agility. So that means I will lose a life here, or a hit point as it were. So I'm going to play the 5. I don't get to draw back into my hand, but I do get a bonus because I just leveled up when I was at the Mystic Portal, right? And now I've come back. So I already have a 6, and I need an 8. So this card needs to be a 2 or better. So as long as this isn't a 1 on the check, I've opened the chest successfully. It's a 2, so it was close, but it was worth it. It's a good thing I leveled up, because otherwise I would have been darted right between the eyes. So there we go. Now these get discarded. And what have I done here for myself? What have I got? Well, it says you disarm the trap, so you get 3 plus 1, which is 4. This is really good because I can level up again. So I have a total of 8 gold. And you open the chest. And then you move on. Here's another little thing. You'll see below it. I've opened the chest, but below it there's a little... See if I can get my... There we go. See the plus? I move on and I do the plus. So let's do the plus. And the plus says, inside the chest you find whatever you check for. So, to check, you just flip the card. Flip the power card. I flipped a 1. I have no idea whether that's good or not. It says 1 and 2. Yeah, that's fine. 1 and 2, I get an item. So again, flip the power card. I get another dagger. That's awesome. Okay, so now I put this back with my other guys. So you'll see how these are stacking. Right? I've got 2 fruit and I've got 2 daggers. So that's awesome. It's really going to help me out if I get into a fight here. Well, a fight soon, because I'm obviously going to get into a fight. Now it says I exhaust. So I exhaust. And I'm going to move. I will use... I've got 4 life left. I'm going to use my a 3 of intelligence, so it's not a movement card, and I'm going to discard that in order to move back to the Mystic Portal room. I've only got 3 life left, which isn't a lot, so let's do a check. There's no actions that I have to take. Let's do a check on the room to see if I have to fight a monster. I need to beat a number 1, and I picked a 3. So I am not going to fight a monster in the Mystic Portal. That gets discarded. I have 8 gold. I'm going to power up, or excuse me, skill level up. And this time I will do strength. So it works somewhat the same. Here's the strength card. And this is how it will go. So now we have upgraded my scholar with intelligence and strength on level 1, which is actually really good. I'm quite happy about that. In fact, it almost makes me want to keep exploring this level. So here we go. I'm going to put that down. Now, if I were playing this game to try to win it, I probably would keep exploring this level. But I really wanted to show you how to level up, or excuse me, go deeper in the dungeon. So here's a couple of things we're going to do first. I have 3 life left. It's not a lot. I don't really want to do a whole lot of more exploring with just 3 life because I'll move, I'll have 3 life. If I have to fight someone and I don't succeed, I'm in trouble. So this is where the fruit comes in. The fruit restores your life, and fruit is very precious in the Dungeon of D. The Mystic Portal is a great room for eating fruit, because what happens is you need to look back down at the threat of the room. Here's the large chest room. See how the threat down here is a 4? What that means is the maximum life you can have in your hand, the maximum at any time, is 9. But if I ate fruit in this room, the maximum would be decreased by 4. So instead of being able to go back up to my maximum of 9, if I chose to eat fruit if I paused at the large chest, I would have to have a maximum of 5 fruit, which means with 3 cards in my hand, I could only draw an additional 2 cards. So you try not to eat fruit in rooms as dangerous as this. The Mystic Portal room, by contrast, is not as dangerous. It's a 1. So what that means is the maximum number of hit points I can have in my hand if I eat fruit here is 9 minus 1, which is 8. That's pretty good. That's only off by 1 of the allowable maximum. So I'm going to choose to eat fruit in this room. So what you do for that is you come over here, you take your fruit, and instead of having 2, remember this is the column you're paying attention to, instead of having 2 fruit, you switch it like this. Now I have 1 fruit. You see how that's working? All this stuff over here, you kind of ignore it. Okay? So there's my inventory. You can have 8 things in your inventory, by the way, but I really never get there. So it's a good part of the rule, but I've just never succeeded in getting up that high. So I'm going to eat a fruit. So instead of having 3 cards, I may have 8, which means I go back to the power deck and I take 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my new hand. 1 card left in the power deck. I'm going to take the top card of the monster check pile. I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to take the top card of this. I'm going to reshuffle all my discarded cards, power cards. Okay? Just reshuffle them all. Now the card that was the top card, I'm just going to put back. I probably don't have to be so particular, but I'm going to do that. And I'm going to leave that card, my last movement card, there, because sometimes I find if you don't have a monster ready, you just have to... Anyway, long story. I'm going to leave that there. So now I'm up to 8 life. It's not a great hand. The other thing you can do, in terms of rules, if this is that kind of a video, is you can take... I think it's either all of your cards or 6 of your cards. I don't know why that stands out. And at any one time during the course of the game, you can do an exchange. So I'll do it just for the sake of this video. So I'm going to take a number 2, a number 1, a number 2, a number 1, and I'll take a number 3. And I'll exchange them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 cards, discard pile. And I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 new cards. Much better. I got some 5s, I got some strength. So it's a much better hand. I can't do that again. I can never do that again, but I've done it now. Now, this is hard for me because I'm actually having a fairly decent game. I've upgraded my skills or abilities. I guess it's yeah, I guess that's skill. If you can learn abilities from other characters. Excuse me, I've got that wrong. You can learn skills from other characters, but your abilities you upgrade using gold. And the skills that you can upgrade with are directly related to your intelligence. So unless I had a +1 here, I couldn't have learned another skill if I do come across another character in the dungeon. But since I have upgraded, I can learn another skill. So let's just end this video. We've been taking our time with things. I really would like to play this through, but you know, I'm not going to, because I want to show you how to level up. So what you do to level up is you take all the rooms except the Mystic Portal, just leave it alone. The Mystic Portal gives you these instructions, by the way, so it's not hard to do. So you take these rooms, you put them back together in your dungeon, shuffle your dungeon, okay? Then you take 8 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You take 8 cards. These you won't be using at all, but so they go back there. You take 8 cards, then you take your Mystic Portal and add it to those 8 cards. So you know the Mystic Portal, shuffle it in. You know the Mystic Portal is going to be somewhere in the first 8 rooms. Well, it has, or 9 rooms rather. Okay? The maximum, you can't draw a dungeon that's bigger than 9 rooms. If you get to 9 rooms, you can keep tooting around the dungeon, but you can never go to 10 rooms. So there's our dungeon. The Mystic Portal's in there somewhere, but I don't know where. So it goes back here. There we go. When you level up, you get a fruit. So I've gone from 2 fruits, which you start with, to 1. And now I'm back to 2 fruits, which is great. So I've got 2 fruits, and I've got a couple of daggers. I've leveled up. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about how this game's going, actually. Now what you do is you take your level card here, and instead of being on level 1, you flip them to level 2. And you can see now, here's the monsters you're going to fight. It's going to be Ice Slime. It's going to be Goblin. Is that what that says? Skeleton and Giant Spider. So you arrange them accordingly. Ice Slime's already there. Goblin comes from here. He's a green skin. So the Goblin is there on the bottom of the card. See the cards there, okay? There's 4 monsters on each card. If you follow the frame of it, so there's 4 monsters on each card, and you twist it accordingly, and the one that's at the bottom is the one you're going to be fighting on that level. So, where did Goblin go? Goblin's right there, so he goes there. Ice Slime, Goblin, Skeleton hasn't changed, and now a Giant Spider, which they're tough. Giant Spiders are tough. That has a poison, a poisonous bite, a poisonous attack. So if you get poisoned by the Giant Spider, it's not a good situation. You're probably going to lose hit points unless you have a potion that will get you out of that. But again, I don't really have the opportunity to go through all the items and everything that's possible here. Let's simply flip our top dungeon card. It's a hidden door, and a monster attacks. I will do this much, and then the video's gone on long enough. Okay, so that's where the Mystic Portal has led us to. Now, normally, this is actually a 0. So there's 2 things I'll say about this room. See down at the bottom, it's a 0 threat room. If I happened to cross that room, that means you would never do a monster check. There's no wandering monster. But there is an immediate action. And the immediate action is that there's a monster. Okay, so that's fine. But the second thing I'll point out about the 0 room is that's a great place to eat fruit, because that means you can draw back up to 9 life. There's only a few 0s, but this is one of them, and this is a great opportunity to power up. Now, I'm not going to waste fruit. I've already got 8 life, and I'm not going to eat fruit just so I can go to 9. I don't think that's worthwhile. So, hidden room is here. Hidden door, excuse me. That's where the Mystic Portal goes to, so my player goes there. But a monster attacks immediately. What you do now is you check. So it's not this card that was my last movement card. It's an actual check. So we flip over the card. It's a 4. And a 4 indicates that it's monster number 3, which is a skeleton. And so I fight the skeleton, and I progress from there. Okay? Well, I think I'll end it there. Now, whether I end up playing this game out or not, I suppose, if this had been me, strategically, I would have stayed on level 1, having only 4 rooms, and already knowing where the Mystic Portal was. I would have just played right off of the Mystic Portal, and I would have leveled up like crazy. On the one hand, I wish I'd done that, but that's no big deal. For you guys, I've done what I've done. I might still play this game out, because I'm still doing fairly well to be in level 2. What else would I say about this game? Again, replayability for me is huge. It's gone really well in terms of replayability. Variety is really good as well. There's monsters here that I have not fought against. In fact, if I may suggest this, for all the times I've played this, for the several dozen times I've played this, I've never won. And I love that. I don't feel like a schmuck because I haven't won. This is a hard game to win. And it takes mostly skill, I would say, in reading the cards, what's next, having some strategy. There's certainly a bit of luck involved, but I would say mostly you can work with the cards and you can try to make your best approaches. The balance of the game, like the mechanic and stuff, really good. It's well thought through. I think that there's some expansions and stuff like that, so I want to see what that's about. I do know there's something called the Island of D, which looks really cool, but I think it's done. I don't think it's even possible to get it anymore. So you'd probably have to go onto Board Game Geek or something and actually ask someone, say, hey, can I trade you for it, or can I buy it from you, or whatever. But I believe the Island of D was a Kickstarter at some point. I don't think it was a print and play, otherwise it would still be available. But this is a print and play, It cost me on a heavy cardstock, I don't know, I think it was about 13 or 14 bucks, and then of course you have to cut everything out, which took a while, but I didn't do a great job cutting it out. I did have a corner punch, but it still wasn't that successful. But once you sleeve everything, you know, you're fine. I should and I will get different sleeves for different cards, so everything isn't just black, and I'll be able to tell the character cards a little more quickly from the power cards and so forth. So that's coming for me. But in the meantime, I think I'm pretty happy with what I've got. In fact, I'm really happy with what I've got. I would highly recommend the Dungeon of D. It's a great game, and you will enjoy it. If this is your thing, this is like sort of like a mini version of Lord of the Rings living card game, only in a way it's like it in some ways, but it's very different in others. You don't have to walk around with boxes of cards. You don't expand with using the cards, and so there might be some limits to this. You might get to the point where you've played 70, 80, 90, 100 plus games, and you've said, you know what, I've seen it all, I've done it all, I've won it multiple times, and maybe you've had enough. But for the price and for the effort of getting things all sleeved and printed, 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Highly recommended. So this is Wilson. I think I've said enough. It's a long video. Maybe you've enjoyed it. Leave some comments. But thank you very much for checking in on the Dungeon of D. And yeah, we'll see you next time.